Hey everyone, my name is Nick Believe It, and today I'm going to be noting down my predictions for the Game Awards 2021, which I'm planning to do other people here, but I'm just recording my own predictions. So I'm going to go in from the bottom up. So a couple of personal things I'm going to set for myself. I'm only allowed to predict something that's on a PlayStation console, so you'll see some obvious L's, and then obviously there are going to be a few things here I skip because everyone skips the esports unless you know about it, for instance. But we're going to go from bottom up and see how it goes. So best esports event, yeah. So this is one I'm just gonna skip. Previous category. Best esports coach, I don't know. Previous category. Esports team, I don't know. Previous category. Esports athlete, I don't know. Previous category. Actually, wait a minute. Isn't this the old one? Just confirming. This guy's name's Simp, but this guy's name's Simple. Okay, yep. Just confirming that was the one. Okay, anything. Esports game. Okay, this one I actually can predict. And per my rules I set, I have to vote Call of Duty. Now, technically, Counter Strike Global Offensive is on PS3, but no one's fucking playing it there anymore. So, again, my own rules. So, for this esports game, right? Yeah. So, which is that just says Call of Duty and not. And actually, here, let me middle line that. This is just Call of Duty, not Warzone, but whatever. Let's keep going. Most anticipated game, yeah, Elden Ring's gonna win this. That's coming. It's not gonna be the other ones. It just a lot of Breath of the Wild two fanatics thinking it's gonna be Elden Ring's gonna win. Just come on. Do you watch any other Keighley events? Come on. Best debut indie. So per my own rules, Artful Escape and Sable and Valheim aren't allowed. I'm not allowed to predict those. Uh, so of these two, Forgotten City and Candy Bridge of Spirits, the reason I'm going to predict the Forgotten City is because this is the only thing it was nominated for, and I've heard so many people talk so much about this game. Whereas Kana is in a few other categories, and I think it also good. It's amazing that Ember Lab made this as their first debut, but this game's not without its flaws. Now I'm not saying the Forgotten City is for everyone. I have some people argue that the original mod was better, but like I said, this is the only place it's voted for, and I want to have my predictions list be have as many different game entries as possible. Uh, Okay, content creator of the year, I'm probably gonna skip over. Yeah, now, I did see Jacksepticeye congratulate Fusely, and I think I've heard of Grefka, but I see Trend on Twitter all the time, so probably him. And I wonder if any of these people, by the way, is not canceled by a lot of people's criteria. All right, best multiplayer. So again, per my own rules, not allowed to vote for predict Valheim or New World. I'm gonna keep saying vote for it when I didn't mean predict or Monster Hunter Rise. Actually, I'm not allowed to predict any of them. So of these three, so we have See, that's the thing. If I narrow it down to these three, I kind of almost feel like I have to predict It Takes Two. But all right, so I'm gonna use the Forgotten City logic, even though I'm probably screwing myself here because this is the only category Knockout City was nominated for. Whereas Back for Blood and It Takes Two will appear later, even though there's a lot of reasons why Knockout City is the easiest one to eliminate, probably. But hell, that two city games, both which have one nomination. All right, best sports racing. So here's where I'm gonna take a very obvious L because Forza Horizon 5 is going to win, but I'm not allowed to predict it from my own rules. So I'm going to go with kind of the game that at least got a nomination, Hot Wheels Unleashed. And ironically, the game that was snubbed in Cruise and Blast, I wouldn't be allowed to predict anyway. Okay, gonna make this a little bigger, excuse me. All right, best sim strategy. Okay, this is a close one because actually most of these don't fit my rule. However, Evil Genius 2 is at least coming to PS5, if not already out. So I have to vote for that, even though that's like got the least chance of winning. But for a lot of people, even if you are familiar with the other ones, that's you first heard about this game from the nominees. Don't lie to me. Uh, Make sure I got that right. Evil Genius 2 World Domination. Yeah. So yeah, there's just a couple of categories where I'm taking very obvious L's. But we're gonna move on. Best family. Again, my own rules. I have to vote for It Takes Two. But I don't know. Off the record, it's got to be Mario Party Superstars, I assume. All right. Best fighting, where actually I think most of these, I think all five of these are on PlayStation. In fact, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown I think is only on PS4 unless PS5 they're back and pat. But now you never say never because Nick Allstar could win for the meme, but I'm going to assume Guilty Gear Strive wins because that's the popular one, and it's also actually a fighting game. Whereas like the Demon Slayer game, like that's arguably not a fighting game, you know? It's kind of like Like, does it really fit the definition of okay? Wondering if they want me to spell. Oh, excuse me. They want me to spell strive. Okay, so okay, there's that. All right, best RPG. Totally not contentious because of this guy right here. So again, not allowed to vote for Monster Hunter Rise and Shin Megami Tensei 5. Now, okay, even though like has probably the lowest chance of all five of winning, there's a reason I'm going to vote for predict Scarlet Nexus, even though, like I said, it has pretty much no chance. And that's because this game does not have, the bad kind of microtransactions. It has in-game purchases, but not the bad kind. Whereas Tales of Arise does have the bad kind. Although when you eliminate Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Monster Hunter Rise, Tales of Arise quickly becomes the most likely one. Yeah, I know it's a meme, but I really don't think Cyberpunk 2077 is going to win. And here's an idea. And the people who kind of made Cyberpunk 2077 a great RPG in some people's opinion. How are they responsible for the bad launch and the fact that it's still basically not playable on PS4? So yeah, again, Scarlet Nexus has pretty much no chance of winning, but you know, I mean, it's not like these predictions are gonna give me the W because they aren't. All right, best action adventure, and so now we get interesting because now we're getting into games that are going to start appearing more and more. All right, so I'm going to eliminate Resident Evil Village because isn't that survival horror by most people's criteria? Now, this is kind of where I think a lot of people would argue Guardians is action adventure, but they would kind of argue that Metroid, Psychonauts, and Ratchet are all platformers. So I know that is where it gets weird. To say combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, which, for the sake of argument, we're going to say all four of these do fine. That's maybe an area where Village can get ahead, but like I said, I'm going to personally eliminate that. And actually, my own rules, I can't vote for predict Metroid Dread. Um, so Ratchet, Psychonauts, and Guardians, best action adventure. And it's worth noting that throughout Game Awards history, whoever wins Best Action Adventure wins Game of the Year, meaning that I shouldn't predict Guardians. All right, and actually, by that exact rule, then I'm going to predict Psychonauts too, because the thing now, Psychonauts 2 might have been played by a lot of people, but it has not sold well, certainly at least not on PlayStation. But like that's the kind of question is can it get the acclaim enough? Because other than some crybabies who are saying it's not as good as the first one, most people have agreed this is a great game. It is a game of the year contender. Like it doesn't have the anger as a game or two that might come up presently. All right, best action game. All right, so okay, yes, all of these qualify, and of course Far Cry 6. Shut up. It's pretty agreed the gunplay in Far Cry is never that great. Come on. And now the thing is that when I think action, of course, I do think melee or sword based or a lot, which kind of would automatically give it to Chivalry 2. But how many people even remember that Chivalry 2 came out this year? Like it's actually one of the highest reviewed PS5 games this year, and maybe it still has decent audience on PC. But it felt like this game was popular for like a month and that's it. Like its next shot of popularity, if it ever had one, was when the CEO of the publisher, endorsed that Texas bullshit and whatnot. So, but yeah, so like now, sorry, noise in the background. Uh, Now there's a lot of reasons why it's smart to predict Deathloop, and I'm not going to predict Back for Blood just because I kind of feel that like, well, is the gunplay that good in that game? Don't get me wrong, it's looked fun when I've seen it, but it does feel that element of it's not Left 4 Dead, really Left 4 Dead 3 is there a little bit. Now again, it's probably smart to predict Deathloop based on how kind of games media are and whatnot, but I think kind of going with my own logic here, I'm going to take a gamble because there aren't too many Housemark fans who are disappointed with Returnal. There have been a few Dishonored fans disappointed with Deathloop, but again, it's just, you got to understand how games media are. And I was expecting Returnal to not get nominated for anything, but I'm definitely not expecting it to win anything. But still, and like I said, since I'm trying to have as many games in my predictions as possible, that does mean Deathloop is more likely to be to be a prediction on an upcoming category. All right, so best VR AR. So I haven't checked, but I don't know if I Expect You to Die 2 is on PSVR yet. Lone Echo 2 and Resident Evil 4 definitely are not. And obviously Resident Evil 4 is going to win, but I'm not allowed to vote for it. So, gotta go Hitman 3, because, that's probably a real snub in that it's not nominated for anything else. Wait, does it spell with a 3? Yeah, okay. Okay. Nope, I'm pretty sure the game spells it with an I, but they spell it with a 3, so I have to. And I know that. I really hope you're not hearing too much of that background noise. All right, innovation and accessibility. So, again, my own rules not allowed to vote for Forza or the Veil. So I'm going to say, for argument's sake, that the kind of remembering, hey, Ubisoft not good with, is going to eliminate Far Cry 6. But it's also worth noting that this is only really voted on by specific people who have are now more knowledgeable about this. So a lot of more random games we aren't even allowed to vote in this. So do I go Guardians or do I go Ratchet? Because like, all, all right, definitely a gamble for multiple reasons, but I'm gonna go Ratchet on this one. Like I don't know, the biggest reason I can think to prioritize Guardians that I would know of is that if you're playing it on Xbox, obviously, sure, you can play it with the adaptive controller, but I kind of feel only Forza is going to get votes for that reason. And I kind of and bear in mind that a lot of the DualSense features can be helpful to accessibility, not just kind of harmful or detrimental or whatever. Uh, but it's like but really this category when it comes to looking at these two games, it should be about their in-game menu options. So even if you are just playing with the default controller in question, with Guardians it is about the options, and same with Ratchet. But it's also kind of and Insomniac has been great, not just with Rift Apart, but they were great with Spider-Man previously. So here's hoping that Ratchet can get a win because I again my gut's kind of telling me it's going to be the Sony curse. Horizon didn't win anything 2017, Spider-Man didn't win anything, Miles didn't win anything, and it's like, what does it take for Insomniac to make a game that gets above 90? Oh dear. Sorry, the background noise is killer as usual. Okay, where are you? Best community support. I really think this is finally going to be the year where Final Fantasy 14 takes it. It's been nominated for years now, but with everyone kind of leaving World of Warcraft to join it, I think this is finally going to do it. And I just haven't really heard news stories this year about these other four. Now, it doesn't mean they don't have great community support, but like when No Man's Sky won, it's like that was overdue for a win finally, and then just what has Fortnite done? This year, same with this thing to an Apex Legends in the community department. I'd say they've done nothing, but I just don't hear about it. Whereas I think the kind of fact that so many people have started Final Fantasy 14 this year, even if they were never going to in the first place, like I think that's going to finally push it. I think it's finally time for a W. All right, best mobile game. All right, again, my own rules. I have to predict Genshin Impact. The one that should win is Fantasian because that's on Apple Arcade and it's not freemium. I'm assuming the rest of these are freemium. The Genshin is and Pokemon Unite is, but I think these are both freemium. League of Legends and Marvel Future Revolution is also freemium. But yeah, just Fantasian should win if Justice were a real thing, but not allowed to predict it. And to be clear, if you've watched the Game Wars in the past, Fantasian probably actually had no chance. Okay, best indie. So now 12 Minutes was just announced for PlayStation, but not it. Or I think it's going to release like the 7th. I think it was. So that's like a couple of days before. So technically, I would be allowed to vote for that. But if you've seen the polarizing reception online, you know why this isn't has no chance. And unfortunately, Kana has no chance either because even though it's a great debut for Ember Lab, its gameplay is far from perfect. Whereas these other three are like people fell so in love with them. Now, again, my own rules, not allowed to vote for predict Inscription or Loop Hero, so I have to predict Death Store, which just came out today on PlayStation. And I'm gonna say from following it, if it's not Death Store, it's probably Inscription. Because Loop Hero was really big earlier this year when everyone was playing on a PC, and it is gonna hit Switch the day of the Game Awards, I think. But I don't know if people are kind of going back to it and saying it's that great. But I don't know. When I watch different people give their top 10 of the year, top, and whatnot, I'm gonna see if Loop Hero kind of managed to sneak back in because it was really huge earlier this year. But Death Store, and this is the only place Death Store was nominated, so kind of hope it's going. All right, best ongoing. So for similar reasons as I just said, got to go Final Fantasy 14 online because in fact this is probably more likely than community support. But what I kind of said about all the other stuff is that like I just haven't heard much from the other categories really. So yeah, like if other stuff wins either of these, then I just don't pay enough attention clearly. But no wonder because I'm not into that. All right, games for Impact. Now I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure Before Your Eyes and No Longer Home are not on PlayStation, and Boyfriend Dungeon definitely is not as yet. All right, so I'm gonna, even though there's a great chance that this is Life is Strange's True Colors is a category to lose, because this is the only place Shikari was nominated, I'm gonna gamble that takes it. Because even though people really like it, I don't really know if it falls into the category of games for Impact as strongly. I strongly should. I mean, obviously, any game can fall into games for Impact, but like I just kind of feel that when you think about what this means, pro social meaning or message, I kind of wonder if people are going to lean True Colors as well, and obviously these other ones, but not allowed to predict them. Best performance. Now, I would defend Giancarlo Esposito if he actually delivered a solid performance. However, I've heard from everyone who's played Far Cry 6 that like he's barely there, and it's not like he has a performance to write home about. So I don't think he's actually going to win, because I know, of course, everyone's going to get mad about, like, not just, oh, wow, Ubisoft game winning award, but also, I don't know, there's a gatekeeping of video game voice acting and whatnot from, like, actors famous for other stuff. Now, my kind of thinking here is that most people have kind of agreed that Colt and Juliana are kind of so important to their chemistry is so important that you can't really just pick Jason or Ozioba. I think that's how you pronounce it. And not that Maggie did a bad job as Lady Dimitrescu, but there's such a meme-ness there that it's like, I don't know, there's a bit of a salt there. So by process of elimination, I'm gonna go Erica Mori, and I think there's a great chance that, like, this might be actually one of the safest predictions I'm making, where, because and this is the thing of how most people who are mad at that did not play Life is Strange True Colors. Like, how many people who played Life is Strange True Colors didn't like your performance? People who are mad at this didn't even play Life is Strange True Colors, so shut up. All right, best audio design, which is a category, for the most part, where there's really no wrong answer. Like, none of these are, all of these games have, for all of them, have fantastic audio design. And okay, so like I said, I've wanted to mix it up a little bit because there's a solid chance Returnal takes this. And this could be the one where Village takes it as well. So the reason I'm going to go Deathloop is because, like I was just saying, people love the chemistry between Colt and Juliana, and like hearing Juliana in your headphones and whatnot definitely kind of has to be part of that. But like I said, there's no wrong answer here. All right, best score in music. So again, not allowed to vote for the Artful Escape. Um, and then now, even though some people want, the problem is I just don't know if there's completely original tracks in your replicant version. That's actually equal to the square root of 1.5. Like if I knew there was original, I'd be more comfortable predicting it. But because I don't know, I'm gonna have to go Guardians. All right, and now for these last three, we're definitely this is where we're gonna repeat. Okay, so and actually, kind of going with my thing of I'm trying to predict different games. Here, I'm just gonna predict Kana. All right, best narrative. Hold on. Okay, so even people I know who really loved Deathloop have said they weren't big fans of the ending. So this, I think, is probably actually one of the most upsetting ones because I don't know, the internet's now mad at this game just because Sony and Bethesda showed it off too much, not because they've played it and were disappointed. Like I know plenty of people who've played Deathloop and legitimately had problems with it or whatnot, but most haters on the internet just did not play it. They're just mad that Sony showed it off all the time, or because they never thought it looked interesting in the first place, or oh, if media loves it that much, it must suck. All right, so of these other four, so I voted for all these other four at least once, and another case where there's really not a bad entry here, like the main thing is I kind of now most people who played Guardians really like the narrative. I do kind of wonder though, does it belong under best narrative compared to like all the games that didn't get nominated in this category at all? Uh, or is it just really good given how surprised people were? Because it's not like there are people who played it and were disappointed with the narrative. It's just people continue to stop believing it because they refuse to believe it was good in the first place. And it's like it's a single player game, you schmucks. Uh, so then I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna personally eliminate It Takes Two, and then between Life is Strange or all right, I'm gonna lean Life is Strange True Colors. Now, the irony, of course, is that specifically I know Push Square's reviewer did not like the narrative, but I'm gonna say that, but like in this case, I'm just gonna say that I'm sure Second Life 2 is a great narrative, but I kind of wonder if that bias against the platformer is gonna harm it, or the fact that oh you can not pay attention to the narrative in this game hypothetically, whereas you really can't not pay attention in Life is Strange True Colors. And there's a and great it'd be great if It Takes Two won, but I do wonder if as much as a lot of people enjoy it, did they not enjoy the narrative or something like that? I don't know. Okay, game direction, and all right. So let's see. So here's the thing: a lot of Ratchet fans have actually been more up and down Rift Apart because it is kind of still more Ratchet. So I'm actually gonna kind of eliminate that. Psychonauts 2, I can definitely kind of still circle. I think there's a great chance that takes it. I as much as I'd love to pretend Returnal has a chance, you got to remember that for most of the people, the media at least voting on this category, they think Returnal as PS5 auto updates, and I can't and my save go bye bye. Like even though that was recently kind of updated, that's the whole point. Is when they think of game direction, they think of wait, your intent was to make this really hard game, and I'm a crybaby who, for both legitimate and not legitimate reasons, needs my roguelites to be 10 minutes a run max and all that other blah 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 stuff. So yeah, I this is a category it's great it got nominated, but how does it actually win game direction? The question is the question is does the media love of Deathloop is that enough to push it? Um, uh, and then I I don't think we even need to. I'm trying to think. Does that push it? All right, now it's obviously, of course, I want to see Joseph Fares, give the give the acceptance speech and whatnot, but I just gotta predict it takes two, and I know I'm setting myself up for disappointment, but I just gotta. And then game of the year. Again, I'm not allowed to vote for Metroid, predict Metroid Dread, and Crystal, you'll let you get the fuck out of here. And then yeah, I just if Ratchet wins, I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot people are gonna. The thing is, I think people are, including PlayStation fanboys, are actually gonna kind of feel fairly upset by it. Like that's the whole point. Is whereas like, okay, so limiting down to these three. Now people are gonna be upset about Deathloop winning, but most of the people did not play it or don't know how to agree to disagree and all that stuff. Psychonauts 2. All right. Even though I know a lot of you are going to yell at me that this is probably less likely, I'm just going to go ahead Takes Two and probably look like a Joseph Fares fanboy or a EA fanboy or whatever you want to call me. But I don't know, I just think in balance, this it being this amazing co-op game that with a solid narrative and whatnot. So I think that's pretty much all my predictions because you have to look at yeah. I didn't want to. Okay, so yep. So we're gonna have to see what ends up winning December 9th, and of course I'm gonna be using this as a spreadsheet for definitely kind of funny and whoever else does predictions. But that's my predictions that are probably going to be completely 100% wrong. So, yeah, see ya.